Hello and welcome to the morning after show. We are here, baby. We are live, and you get to see Jared's and I's pretty little faces as well. I am joined by Jared, my co-host, for this brand new show that Roto Radar is representing, sponsored by BetOnline. Jared, I don't know about you, man, but I'm pumped. I'm excited, and this is the first time we've been on camera in company history, so it's gonna be a fun time.
Yeah, man, making history. Today's the day. We've been hyping it up for months, and now we're finally here. So, this is the first of several new shows that are going to be rolling out. First new media for the week. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today. A lot of football, a lot of sports. This is going to be used as the variety show. So we're going to be talking all sports, not just football. So we are very, very excited for all of you guys to be able to hang out with us in the morning. And that was the main thing behind all of this, right? Is that we have constant communication with you guys in the Discord. We have constant communication pretty much anytime afternoon, but we don't have anything for you right now in the morning. So that's exactly what we're trying to do here. And yeah, we're trying to start your Monday morning off, or sorry, your Tuesday morning off the right way.
Yeah, and every morning, every weekday morning, right? We're gonna be live on the air at this time, talking about sports. Like Jared said, imagine this is like your ESPN show, but with daily fantasy sports. So, gonna go over some DFS stuff, gonna go over some new stuff from the previous day, and also gonna be talking about some odds every single day. So, I'm pumped. I'm excited. This is something that we've had in the works for, like Jared said, I don't know how long. It must be months at this point that we've had this in the works. But I'm super excited. And Jared, if you're ready to go, then I'm ready to go. We can talk about our first segment of the day.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. All right, let's get to it. We are moving into our first segment of the day where we are going to be talking about some divisional odds. You know, it's the beginning of the NFC season. This is week 1 that we're in right now. We have football this Thursday. I can't believe we are just 2 days away from football. And I figure there's no better way to start it off than to talk about some divisional odds for each and every division. So we're going to kick it off with the NFC West. I feel a little bit homer takes coming in from me already, but I want to get your thoughts first. What do you think about this NFC West?
Yeah, I mean, it's without a doubt the most competitive division in the league, easily on the NFC side, and I think that we can make a comfortable assumption that it's probably it's a tier above the AFC North, in my opinion. So for me, right now, I think that there's a couple more arguments to be made here, right? I think any of these teams can come out on top. Obviously, the Cardinals is definitely more of a long shot, but I think the most important thing about this specific division is the health and safety of the quarterbacks in the division. So we have a lot of injury history on all of these teams, and I think a lot of really competitive defenses. So each one of these matchups head to head are going to be an absolutely brutal bloodbath. For right now, for me, and I know that you're not going to take this correct
Oh
the right
no.
way. So
Oh no.
so we're starting off first segment. I got to do it, but I think that the Rams are the clear number one for me. So I'm interested to see why they have the Rams at plus 210 here over the Niners.
Yeah, if I'm not being a homer, like I feel like the Rams are the top team too. Like obviously I want to root for my 49ers, right? But with the Rams, all the improvements they made on the offensive side, like that was the one weakness, right? That was the one thing really holding back this team was the quarterback play. And now that you have Stafford there, that offense just becomes immensely better. Like it's a ridiculous way to level up with Matthew Stafford at the helm instead of Jared Goff. And I feel like people still underrate the Stafford play, right? Because Stafford,
Oh yeah,
he was with the Lions. I feel like no one really ever gave him his respect. You started to see a little bit of it at the end of last year, but then like it just like I think now that he's with Sean McVay, a guy who is an offensive mastermind, I think that the game's gonna come next level. So like I hate to say it, but Rams at plus 210, that's good odds to me in all honesty.
yep.
As long as the team can stay healthy, it's good odds to me. I mean, the same goes for the 49ers, right? It's all about staying healthy. We know all the injury woes they had last year. A lot of the defense was hurt at the end of the year. Our quarterback was hurt at the end of the year. There was a lot of problems with that team. If they can stay healthy, I mean, I would say that these two teams should be pretty close to each other. I think the reason that I'm taking the Rams here is because they are plus 210 and because you get better odds than betting on the Niners.
That I 100% agree with. From a sports betting standpoint, you take the team that has the more plus money in this situation. You can even go for the Seahawks, but before we get into them, I do want to just say I give a shout out to John J. Coos for the tier 1 sub. NFL's back, baby. Girl dad subscribed at tier 1, 8 months. Hey, Rocks, let's get it. There's a couple of comments from the chat already. Brian, 14353 gifted his tier 1 to D ramified after he said he did not have a sub yet. So what's up, guys? What's up? Rams Super Bowl clip it, says A-Rocks. Good morning, Eddie. What's going on, man? Jay Cruz says you all sleeping on Russ. Yeah, we'll talk about Russ here in a second. The one thing we did not talk about was the loss of Cam Akers. So before we talk about the Seahawks, we'll just touch on that and what that means. Obviously, you guys know, and for those of you who have been following along on our draft live streams, we've been talking about when to get Henderson, when to get Sonny Michel. I think that while Cam Akers is a devastating loss, and both Josh and I were insanely high on him, probably our favorite running back of the offseason, it's just one of those things that they got to move on. And I think McVay's system will allow that next running back up mentality, and I think they should be okay. I think that it shouldn't take the offense too far back. I think. Obviously, I'd love to see Cam Akers in there because I think he's a game changer in every single level, especially in the open space. But I think the Rams, even if Akers was in, I don't think this would change too much on the plus 210 side of things. It might bring it up to plus 205, but that's it. So moving on to Seattle, they're plus 290 here. I think that this team, everybody always sleeps on, right? Going back to John's point, it's just a team that, we expect to be in the playoff contention every year, but there's always one of these NFC West teams that pops up, whether it be the Niners coming off a bad season or the Rams, who were not existent until 3 years ago, or, nobody expects the Cardinals, and now they're good enough to compete for the division. So where do you see Russ, and where do you see this Seahawks team?
See, call me crazy. I think it'd be completely different if you had the Seattle team in another division, but because you have them in this incredibly tough NFC West, I think this is the last place team right here, man, with the Seattle Seahawks. I think you can go to every single team and you can see the improvements that they made in the offseason. 49ers, they found their quarterback. Rams, found their quarterback. Cardinals just kind of improved everywhere. They got offensive weapons with Rondale Moore. They ended up getting pieces on the defensive side as well with Watt. So, every team made an improvement. I can't tell you the improvement that the Seahawks made or the big improvement compared to these other teams. They lost their first round pick, just like they do every year. They traded it away. Their second round pick was Dwayne Eskridge, which just blows my mind. Why would you take a wide receiver with your second round pick when you have two of the best wide receivers in the division and probably one of the best combos in the league with Lockett and DK Metcalf? I just don't understand why you would take an offensive weapon when you have great offensive weapons. And what really needs help is that defense. I think the Rams and the Niners are just going to shred up that defense all year long. So maybe I'm one of those people that is sleeping on Seattle, but I'm going to keep sleeping on them. I think this is the last place team in the NFC West.
Oh, this is a really bad pun joke. Josh is sleeping in Seattle, not sleepless.
Oh, oof, that's bad. That's
Oof.
really bad.
Brian 14 says their 12th man diminished a little. LOL, Seattle sucks. Well, that's coming straight from another Niners fan, so you guys can go take that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. If there's anything else you want to comment on the NFC West, then do it now. And if not, we're going to move on to the next division.
No, I mean, you can't really count out the Cardinals, but I think they're a tier below the rest. I think it's 1A, 1B, and then it's kind of like the 2A, 2B for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we should move on.
For sure. Let's move on. Let's talk about the next division, which is going to be, the ever fun NFC East, or NFC Least, as I know a lot of us called it last season. Cowboys at plus 160, Washington football team at plus 180, have the Giants at plus 325, and the Eagles at plus 650. Jared, give me your initial thoughts here seeing these odds.
Initial thoughts. This is, again, disgusting. There's probably only one playoff team coming out of here, but you can make the case this year for the first time that there could be two in quite like probably the past half decade. So, expanded playoff format. I think that's why Washington is as high as they are on this futures board. I mean, I don't know. I think I wanted to be contrarian and try to give my Washington take here. I think I'll let you handle that. And I'd say that the Cowboys are honestly, if the reason that they're plus 160 is because we have no idea what Dak's going to look like. And from what I've seen and from what I've heard, this number should not be plus 160. They should be the clear favorite here. And, obviously, it pains me to say it because I'm not a Cowboys fan, but they're the clear team here.
Really? Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
I can buy into it, man. I don't know if I can. I understand it. Like, I don't think it's an awful play. I do think that the odds feel a little weird at plus 160. You're kind of getting them at a value. But give me the Washington football team, man. Give me that ever dominant defense that we saw last year. I think you see almost everyone on that defense make improvements. Not to mention they got a great addition at the middle linebacker position with Jamin Davis in the draft. So, like, I like this Washington football team, and the fact that you're going to see Antonio Gibson take a leap in his second year. He now has a competent guy at quarterback in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Terry McLaurin, also a guy that I think could potentially take a leap on this Washington football team. I love this Washington football team. I think this team has a really good chance at winning the division. So give me plus 180 odds on the Washington football team. I think it's just it doesn't feel right to get either one of these teams at plus money. So, like, I understand your Cowboys take, but I'll take a little bit better odds with the Washington football team because I think they're just as likely to win. Look, Cowboys' biggest weakness right now is that defense, right? Like, we don't know what that defense is going to look like. If that defense looks anything like it did last year, then they're going to have trouble against Washington and against a lot of teams in the league.
Yeah, agreed. The one thing I will say here is that I believe I'm trying to look at their schedule, and I know that we probably just should move on and keep talking about the other teams in this division. But yeah, I mean, it looks like this team is matched up. Yeah, they got a lot of stuff going on here. Wow. Anyway, yeah, I think that. So I'm pretty sure that the AFC West has to face all the teams in the NFC East. Is that right, Chet? I think that's right. And if so, that's awful for that division.
Yeah, it
So
really is.
yeah. Laudo 1961 gifted a tier 1 sub. Yeah, good, thanks. That's actually the name. So go add that to the list of names. Yeah, good, thanks. What's up, man? Woody subscribed with Prime. What's up? What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? Oh, even Sean pops in and says, "What's up? What's going on, everybody?"
Ooh.
Washington is going to surprise a lot of people this season. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Washington hype train. I think we're going to be talking about them again. I think the primary focus here is the defense and the Antonio Gibson breakout season. I understand that completely, but for me, I'm if this Dallas offense works, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with because I think that they're a little bit better on defense this year.
Yeah, well, hopefully for that team and hopefully for DFS purposes, they're a little bit better on defense. All right, let's talk about the last two teams, Giants and the Eagles. Both did make some improvements, right? Like, we can't completely count out these teams. Giants ended up getting Kenny Golladay, also got James Bradbury for the secondary, and maybe have a fully healthy Saquon Barkley. And then this Eagles team got Devontae Smith in the offseason in the draft and made some improvements on the defensive side as well. Again, it feels like the same scenario as with the NFC West, right? You have 1A and 1B with Cowboys and Washington, and then the Giants and the Eagles. It's kind of, 2A, 2B.
Yeah, I agree with you. So for me, I have no faith in the Giants offense. Let's hope that I mean they have a tough matchup week 1 against Denver. And if this team starts off slow, I just don't see any way that they can gain any ground, especially within the division, right? So I think for me, it's actually I would take a bet on the Eagles outbeat or having a better record than the Giants, and that's kind of as far as I'd go with that.
Yep, for sure. All right, anything else on the NFC least? And if not, we're gonna move into the South.
No, that's it.
All right, let's move on into the NFC South where we have a rightful favorite here, right? Buccaneers are at minus 225, one of the biggest divisional favorites in the NFL this season. You have the Saints at plus 375, you have the Falcons at plus 800, and the Panthers at plus 950. I guess the only question is, like, is there any chance that the Saints end up winning the division here?
I have to pause because I forget that I would say there's always a chance with Drew Brees, but obviously that's not the case anymore.
No.
I said last night that I was actually talking to our AP about his fantasy football league and saying that he picked the Saints defense, and I was like, hopefully, well, too bad that they can't play against their own quarterback in a game. So that's, I mean, as much as I'd love to talk about the Saints here, the Bucks are the clear favorite, and they should be that way. So I don't know. I mean, for me, it's the Saints can't give them a run for their money. I'd be interested to see what their actual to make the playoffs odds are, because I think that is closer to like probably a plus 150, plus 200. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's Tampa. It's clear. I think that they actually have paths to get back to the Super Bowl pretty easily this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. That defense is so dominant, and when you consider the fact that they brought back everyone, right? Like they just got the whole crew back together and they said, "Let's run it back." I think that this Buccaneers team is a pretty it's a there's a reason that they're a minus 225 favorite. And I mean, you've gone through each one of these divisions. You're seeing you're getting a lot of plus odds. The fact that they are this big of a favorite shows just how confident Vegas is and Bet Online is that the Buccaneers are going to end up winning this one. All right, let's move into the next division, which is going to be a little bit of a homer take from you, or at least I think we're going to get a homer take from you. We have the NFC North. Your Packers are minus 150 in this division, with the Vikings at plus 220, the Bears at plus 575, and the Lions at plus 2,000. What are you thinking here, Jared?
I love that there's 4 digits on that one. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that it's clear, right? I think that they were waiting for Rodgers to come back to even post this in general, because I don't
Yeah.
think this was up for the majority of the summer. Yeah, I mean, the first thing that stands out to me is that the Vikings are plus 220. I feel like that's not good. Like, it's value, but it's not good enough value, right? I thought they'd maybe be in the plus 350 range. I mean, I'm gonna be biased here. Would try to put my football hat on as much as I can, but I just don't see how the Vikings defense is going to keep them in games. That's the main concern that I have. The reason that they're probably up where they are is because they have the ability to win 4 games against the other 2 teams in the division. And if they end up splitting with Green Bay, which they easily could, that's I'll never say that they're favored one way or the other in regards to a Packers Vikings matchup, but if they can split with Green Bay, I think they have a shot at the division, and I think that they have a pretty good shot at a low wild card spot for the playoffs for the NFC East or the
Yeah.
NFC picture.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the Packers are the clear favorite here, the rightful favorite. I think you can definitely make your case for the Vikings ending up doing some things in the division, but I lean Packers. I don't want to talk about the Lions, honestly. When it comes to winning the NFC North, I don't think there's a lot of sure things in football, but I know the one sure thing is that the Lions probably won't be winning the NFC North this year. I do want to talk about the Bears, though, because they got a very interesting rookie quarterback in Justin Fields. We know that they're not going to start Justin Fields to start out the year, but we heard from Matt Nagy that they're going to start working him in. And I don't know about you, but I expect to see him week 3, week 4, possibly. As soon as they've gone to a losing record, you're going to see, all right, we need to snap this thing into place, and you're going to see Fields on the field. When Fields does get on the field, and let's say Justin Fields has this incredible season, do they have a chance? Do they have a chance to win this NFC North?
No, frankly. I mean, rookie quarterbacks coming in after week 3 is always rough and iffy, right? So we can talk about their schedule. I have no problem with that. I think that we can all assume that they're probably going to get their, asses kicked and handed to them against the Rams week 1 on Sunday Night Football. And then after that, though, it loosens up a little bit. So hear me out. I think that if things go so bad, maybe I know that Andy Dalton says it's his time, and I think, but look at the schedule here. They have the Bengals at home, and then they have the Browns in Cleveland. They have the Lions at home, and then the Raiders. So like maybe there's a spot in there sometime in October, late September, that they throw Fields in there and let him get used to things. I wouldn't doubt it if we see him against the Lions, so he has a few starts under his belt before he starts to play the Packers, the Bucks, the 49ers, the Steelers, because that's a really tough stretch.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at this. So they have the Packers, they have the Bucks, they have the Niners, the Steelers, and then the Ravens. So like Oof, man, like if you're gonna start this dude, you got to start him against the Lions and let him build into this. Otherwise, you're going to be in rough sledding. So for me, I don't see any way that they have a winning record this year. If they get back to 500, that's a win, and I think that would probably solely be because Justin Fields is amazing.
See, you say that. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my memory isn't serving me correctly. But like, didn't the Dolphins throw Tua out against like an elite defense last year? Who did Tua start
I,
against?
I mean, he might have started against the Steelers. I don't remember though.
It might have been the Steelers, or no, it might have been the Rams. Actually, I think it was the Rams. Regardless, I just remember that they threw him out for his first start of the season against an incredibly tough team. So like, I don't know. Do you think Brian Flores is dumber than Matt Nagy? I'm not sure if that's true, especially when you consider Nagy's play calling. I'm not sure that's true. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see when Fields ends up getting on the field and ends up playing for this Bears team. And if it's soon, like if it's early on in the year and he is an improvement over Andy Dalton and doesn't make a ton of rookie mistakes, then I think you could potentially see this Bears team at least play for a wild card spot. All right. Anything else on the NFC South or no NFC North? And if not, we're gonna move into the AFC.
No, I think this one is one of the more lopsided, and I think that goes into the AFC West as well. I know we'll get there in a little bit though.
Yeah, we're getting there right now. Actually, we're gonna move into the AFC West, where we have another minus 250 favorite in the Kansas City Chiefs. Then you have the Chargers at plus 500, the Broncos at plus 525, and the Raiders having that four-digit odd with plus 1400. Chiefs clear favorite. Is there any reason to believe that the Chargers can get there?
I would like to think so,
Yeah.
right? I think it's. I mean, this. I think all of this kind of hinges on the health of Mahomes, which, I know that he got hurt last year, but I'm not concerned about that at all. M Woods, thank you for the tier 1 sub, my man. Subscribing for 7 months. It's awesome to see you guys 6+ months everywhere. So, yeah, confirmed it was week 8 against the Rams, Josh. That was
There
who
you
it
go.
started. Yeah. So I do remember that because Jared Goff threw like 8 picks in that game.
Yes.
Um, anyway, talking about the AFC West, you would love to like eventually one of these teams is going to break out, right? Like whether it be the Chargers, Broncos, or Raiders. At some point in the next 5 to 7 years, it's going to happen. Hopefully sooner, just because I want this to actually be a competitive division. I think
Please.
we'll see that here everywhere, but Kansas City can easily go, 6-0 against their division. It's just one of those things where I'm not going to be betting against Patrick Mahomes. If I had to pick, I actually think I would pick the. So this is going to be. Chad's not going to like me for this, but I'm going to pick the Denver Broncos to be second place in this division.
Awful, man. Just awful. I don't know. Awful. You're picking Teddy Bridgewater as the guy who's going to win the AFC West. Okay. As my friend Vaughn would say.
It's the defense. It has
Okay, dude.
nothing,
Okay.
nothing to do with Teddy Bridgewater, even though, I mean, it has a little bit to do with Teddy, but
Does
it's
have a little
mostly the
bit.
defense.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think there are worse bets to make than this Chargers team at plus 500. We all know they made the improvements. I think Herbert does get better into week 2, into year 2 for him. I think just having a better offensive line is going to do that for you as a QB, just knowing that you're more protected. You're going to be able to make deeper throws. And I really hope they finally use Mike Williams the right way. Or maybe just Mike Williams doesn't get injured for once. I'd love to see what he could do over a full season. And I think like that's just an incredibly dangerous offense, right? You have Keenan Allen, one of the most reliable receivers in the NFL. You have Mike Williams, who, if fully healthy, I mean, I know the original talks at a camp this season was that they wanted to use him similar to Michael Thomas, which is
Hmm.
insane. And then you also have Austin Eckler, one of the most talented pass catching backs in the league, probably right behind Christian McCaffrey. So, like, I really like the odds of this Chargers team taking a step forward. I don't think it's going to end up being this year because the Chiefs are just that damn good. But, maybe, just maybe. And you have plus 500 odds, so you're getting some pretty good odds on it.
What do you think of, like we mentioned before, that this division gets the NFC East? They get to each play one of the teams in the NFC East. So, what would you say the odds are for one of these teams, whether it be the Chargers or Broncos, to get that second wild card spot? I think it's pretty good.
I think it's really good. I would say Chargers probably is the way that I would lean. But I think there's really good odds that you see one of these two teams end up getting that wild card spot.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, let's move on into the AFC East is up next. We have the Bills at minus 155. We have the Patriots at plus 325. The Dolphins at plus 375. And then another four-digit odd with the Jets at plus 1800. Bills minus 155. We saw what Josh Allen could really do. We all knew he had that type of potential, and we really saw it flourish last season. The Bills, I mean, rightful favorites here? Do you think they should be a little bit closer to the Patriots? What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that the Bills are the front runner. Um, it's I think this is the second year in a row that they've been the favorite. No, I actually think that the Patriots ended up being favorites week one with Cam.
Interesting.
But yeah, Buffalo Bills clear favorites here. I think they get right back to the AFC Championship game. Josh Allen has potential to be MVP once again. I do think that he takes that step forward, and I can't necessarily say it, but because I don't have the odds in front of me, but I think I would take considerable odds on taking Josh Allen at MVP. For me, though, the rest of this division kind of hinges on the Dolphins and Patriots, right? I'm not really a believer in Mac Jones right now. I don't think that he's QB ready for the NFL. I think that he's going to rely heavily on the coaching department as well as the run game, and him not being as mobile as the rest of, especially like Josh Allen, especially like Tua. I think that this Patriots team takes a little bit of a step back, and you see the Dolphins take second place for what seems like the first time in a decade plus.
Wow. I guess we're just on completely different sides of this. I think that Mac Jones is exactly what Belichick wants, right? I think that's why he's so ready to move on, not even give Cam Newton a chance at the starting job, is because he spent a year with a guy like Cam Newton and realized, hey, this isn't my system. This isn't my type of quarterback. I need to move on to a guy who's going to be a field manager. And that's exactly what Mac Jones is going to be for this team, a field manager. Not to mention, this Patriots team is getting the most guys back out of any other team in the NFL from the COVID season. I think with knowing that that defense is going to be so improved with these guys coming back, knowing that Belichick has someone, I'm not going to say similar to Tom Brady because Tom Brady is just so damn good, but similar to his play style almost with Mac Jones. I don't know, man. I feel like this Patriots team has a good chance of coming in second. And if this Bills defense doesn't live up to what I think it can be, potentially a first place spot. I mean, you can just never count out Bill Belichick. And I think that's the route I'm going for here.
Yeah, the defense is definitely going to be improved than last year. They just play so slow for me, and if they can grind it out and that's how they win, then that's how they win. But for me, I think that, that we could see a situation, and we'll talk about the AFC North here soon. But I think this division only has one playoff team in it. I think it's the Bills, and I think that you can maybe, one of these two teams, the Patriots or Dolphins, is going to have to win 10 games in order to make the playoffs because we'll talk about the AFC North, but we've already talked about the AFC West having at least two playoff teams in it too. So
Yeah.
it's quickly filling up, and I just don't know if I can get behind Patriots or Dolphins to make the playoffs.
Yeah, completely understand it. All right, let's move on to our next set of divisional odds, which is the AFC South. You have the Titans at minus 120, the Colts at plus 160, the Jags at plus 600, and the Texans, I think, our biggest underdog of the day at plus 2,800.
Yeah.
Titans minus 120. I mean, like, I like the odds. We know the improvements that they made in the offseason. We know that they improved that defense a little bit. We know that they got Julio Jones to be second wide receiver to A.J. Brown. We know Derrick Henry's on that team. But I don't know. I believe in that Colts team, too. So there's a lot of conflicting things for me in this AFC South division. What do you think?
Yeah, the first thing that stands out to me is, I mean, I think that Tennessee has the edge. Uh, I know that over the last 18 months or so, it's been pretty consistently neck and neck between the Titans and the Colts. But I think that the Titans at this moment have the better offense. I think that Indianapolis, you could argue, is the more rounded team, but they don't have as good of a quarterback. So it's very close. I think I kind of have to run with the Titans here. It's probably going to end up being, honestly, whoever wins the series head to head is going to be the one who takes the division. I think it's going to come down to, let's see, I got their schedule pulled up right now. They play each other. The last time they play each other actually is October 31st. So they're getting these matchups out of the way really early, which is
Wow.
actually kind of scary. It's very scary. I will say that the Colts have a really soft end of the schedule with the Raiders and the Jags in January, so that could give them an edge too. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Titans here. I would like to think that Carson Wentz has turned a corner and is actually healthy, but at the same time, I can't believe that until I see it this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point of just like it's hard to trust in this Colts team until you see them. But there is one thing that we can trust in, and it's that that Colts team has an elite defense, right? You have so many talented pieces in that defense. You have Darius Leonard, you have DeForest Buckner. You have a ton of guys that just create a ton of pressure on opposing teams. So, like, I don't know. I needed that last little push because I was kind of split on these two teams, and you gave it to me by telling me that the Colts face off against the Jags and the Raiders in the last 2 weeks. So give me the Colts at plus 160. I feel like it's just like you need to try to trust in Carson Wentz, which is scary, but I think he does take a step forward. I think that Eagles team was just a toxic place for him, and you're going to see him be. I'm not sure if he'll be the same quarterback that he was when he was MVP Wentz, but he'll be enough for this team that he'll be better than Phillip Rivers. Like I think he'll be far better than Phillip Rivers. So like if that's the case, then I gotta at least consider this Colts team to win.
I agree. I actually do agree with you there. If Carson Wentz, like the biggest reason and question for me, I'm not concerned about the rest of their offense or the defense. They're stellar. They're fantastic.
No.
It's all up to Carson Wentz and if he can run the offense. So let's play a fun game because
Uh-oh.
Lou just brought this up in the chat. He said, "Do you honestly see the Texans not winning a game this season?" So let's play a game called "Can the Texans win a game this season?" Uh,
Call me crazy, man, but like there's a good chance they win week one, right? You have them
I know,
against the
I know.
Jags, and like that's their prime spot. Like that's the
That's their
game
Super
they can
Bowl,
win.
week
That
one.
it really is. Because if they don't win week one, I don't see how you win against a single NFL team. If you don't win against that, excuse my language, but piss poor offensive coordinator, then like I don't know what to tell you, man. Like you're not gonna do much. So I think it really all depends on week one. I feel like that's their one winnable matchup. I think that the reason that you can't say they're gonna win against the Jags a second time is because that's just gonna allow T-Law to get experience in the NFL. So once he gets that experience, and I don't know the second week that they face off, do you have that in front of you, Jared?
I do. They have the Browns, and they have the Panthers.
Oh my goodness, man! Like just rough sledding for the Texans this year. I don't know if they don't win Week 1, they probably do go 0-17. Or at least it wouldn't surprise me if they went 0-17.
Yep, they have the Jaguars at in Jacksonville in December, and then they also are hosting the Jets on the week of Thanksgiving. So those are the only options that I see. There's a real chance this team wins 2 games in an expanded season, which is rough. They could easily actually only win one. But yeah, I think this weekend is their Super Bowl. We'll talk about that and why we think that's one of the best games on the DFS slate in regards to tournaments later on this afternoon. Uh, Lots of comments of 0-17 in the chat.
Oof.
Trevor will throw 4 TDs. Oh, QDs is on Trevor's
All right,
side.
there you go.
Yeah, so for me, yeah, the Texans not great. Yeah, I'm ready to move on whenever you are, man.
Let's do it. Let's move on. Last division to talk about here, and it's going to play into our next segment as well. It's the AFC North. You have the Ravens at plus 140, the Browns at plus 140, the Steelers at plus 425, and the Bengals at plus 1200. You have two playoff teams with the Ravens and Browns, right? And they're both evenly matched when it comes to odds. So who do you have coming out on top?
So, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, the NFC West is probably the top division in the league, and this is definitely the second most top-heavy stacked division. The only reason that it's second is because the Bengals don't have a shot of winning the division this year, in my personal opinion. We'll talk about them, but they've gone through so many terrible offensive linemen, and now it's even worse. Anyway, we'll talk about the Ravens here in a little bit, so I won't go too far into that. But honestly, I think that people are continuously going to sleep on the Steelers all year long, and they should not be at plus 400. I think that the defense is top two, if not top three in the league. And honestly, I am still on the side that Ben Roethlisberger can make this offense work with Najee Harris. And I don't know. I mean, if I think their defense is enough, and they showed it was enough last year outside of them collapsing offensively towards the end of the season. But give me the Steelers to make the playoffs here and possibly take that second, if not first place in the division.
Dude, I love the take. I absolutely love the take, especially from everything I've seen from Ben Roethlisberger, everything that I've heard from Ben Roethlisberger. He seems like the old Big Ben, a guy who can at least be competent on the field. And with all those weapons that the Steelers have, that's all you need from him. Just competency, right? You have Chase Claypool, who you see a lot of year two wide receivers take a leap. I think he's a guy who can definitely take that leap. You have Deontay Johnson, who, as long as he fixes his butterfingers, he's going to catch 100 passes this year. And like so many good weapons. And then Najee Harris, like, the one big downside of that offense has been that their running back sucks. James Conner was absolutely awful last season and has been awful for the past 2 seasons. And all the other guys that they have too. I mean, name a name: Anthony McFarland, Benny Snell. All those guys haven't been able to do their thing out of the backfield. Najee Harris seems like a guy who's going to be able to do his thing at the NFL level. So, like, I think that if you have that offense be a top half of the league and that defense, like you said, top 2, top 3, the Steelers team is definitely dangerous enough to win the AFC North. All right, if you have nothing else here for the AFC North, we can move on to our next segment. We can dig a little bit deeper into this Ravens team.
Yeah, the one thing I will just address from chat, Little Italy, Lou, he's a Steelers fan, says, what's your thoughts on TJ Watt's situation? So for those of you who don't know, there's been reports within the last 4 or 5 hours, that the negotiations for his contract have been extremely difficult, in quotes, and that he's no longer a Steelers captain, but his brother is now a captain on the team. So I don't really play into the captain part because I think that he probably just gave it to his brother or something of the sort. But I don't really think that's concerning to me. I think the concerning thing is definitely their offensive line. But I have no doubts that they're going to figure something out with TJ Watt.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you're going to see him hold out. I know that was a rumor at first that he could potentially hold out if he wasn't going to get that extension. I think they figure something out. I think it'll be just fine. And even without him, I don't know. I know the Steelers face the Bills in week 1. I don't know what the schedule looks like after that. Obviously, that Bills matchup is hard, but I don't know. I just think that the Steelers team will be just fine. All right, Jared, let's move on into our next segment where we get to talk a little bit about the Ravens, man. We got the news that they lost another running back, their second running back of the preseason. Found out that Justice Hill is not going to be playing this year due to injury. Yesterday, they tried out Le'Veon Bell. They tried out Devontae Freeman. I want to get your thoughts on this. What do you think happens here in Baltimore?
Oh man, I wish I'm trying to keep the fantasy side separate, right? But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't here because it's so tilting to watch these guys come in and get worked out, and they're like, oh man, they're so bad. Like Le'Veon Bell didn't even play in the Super Bowl last year. He didn't even suit up. So like I don't know. I just feel like this is a spot of kind of desperation for the Ravens. Like if they lose one more guy on offense, this thing starts to get really, really slippery really fast. Rashad Bateman, their draft pick, is dealing with injuries all preseason, and then Marquise Brown just finally came back at camp with a hamstring. Goosty, I'm sorry, man. I know you're commenting in the chat. I can see it right now, but man, this team is just unraveling so fast, and with the style that they play, they're basically a college offense, and at some point it's very physical, it's brutal on these guys long term, and they play in a very tough division with a lot of really, really good defenses. So it's gross. And I think you can add Todd Gurley to this mix too. I'm pretty sure that he's in this mix to get one of these starting or this job. But man, I wish Gus Edwards was just by himself. That's what I
Yeah,
wish.
yeah.
But it's not going to be a thing this year though.
Don't we all just wish Gus Edwards was by himself, right? We all wish we could get on the Gus bus. I don't know, man. Like you said, I think this is the most important point of everything. This is a tough division, right? Like this is a division that plays tough on defense. It's a grinded out division where you need to be able to run the ball. I mean, like, I think Gus Edwards will be just fine, but when you have to go to that second back, or let's say somehow Gus Edwards gets injured, you're going to rely on Le'Veon Bell as your guy, or Devontae Freeman, or Todd Gurley. Like, No, thank you, man. Absolutely awful. So I have high hopes for this Ravens team. I think they can do some things, but this running back room is just tough, man. It is really tough at the end of the day, and especially when you have just two unfortunate injuries in the preseason. It's extremely tough. All right, anything else on the Justice Hill side of things or on the Ravens side of things? And if not, we're going to move into our next segment and talk about something that's near and dear to my heart.
No, just please let J.K. Dobbins be healthy next year.
Please, for the love of football, let J.K. Dobbins be healthy. All right, let's move on. Next segment that we have talked about something near and dear to my heart. We get to talk about some college football, baby. Man, was college football week one really fun to watch. I got to see UNC lose, which was an absolute blast to watch that team get absolutely ridiculed by the public. Spencer Rattler, a little bit of a tough time in his first matchup, and then Kelly saying that he wanted to execute his team after that terrible it wasn't a letdown game. I mean, they still technically won, but like, man, it must have been disappointing to see Notre Dame let up that big lead. From week one of the college football season, what's your biggest takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, I first of all thank the Lord that college football is back. It's
Yeah.
great to see it without any drama too. That's even better. Like no, I mean, we had a pretty successful season in regards to COVID compared to last year, so I'm all about it. I think that there's a lot of things to overreact about, right? I think the main one is that man, I think obviously Rattler's a big name, but I think that people are overreacting so hard on Clemson and their performance this weekend. Pitiful, pitiful Saturday night performance against Georgia. Now, I will say Georgia's a good team, but headlines everywhere that are just saying that is Clemson's reign of college football finally over? And now I think it's way too early to say that. I think that's a classic overreaction. But they did put up 3 points against Georgia. So, do you have any comments about that? Because when's the last time this team scored 3 points?
Yeah, it's been a long, long time. I will just say that Georgia team. I mean, I ended up betting on them. I had a bet written up in my college football article to take Georgia -3. I felt confident that they were going to win just because that Clemson O line looks rough this year. It doesn't look like it's going to be able to do well against those really tough defenses like Georgia. You're going to see a lot of pressure on that team and on that quarterback throughout the season. So, like, it's tough, man. I hope they get better, and I think they will look better. I think that you're going to see Georgia be one of the best defenses in the SEC this year. It's just, I don't know. They got to improve that offensive line. That offensive line has to get better throughout the season if they want any chance to compete, in my opinion. Especially once they face those really good teams. If they end up getting into the college football playoffs, how are you going to deal with that Alabama pressure? We saw that Alabama defense look great this weekend. How are you going to deal with these top teams' defenses? You're not going to be able to with that bad of an offensive line. So that's what scares me about Clemson. What do you think about Bama? You had Bryce Young in there. He looked good. You had a lot of those wide receivers looking good week one. Do you think Bama, I mean, I know every year it's kind of just like, all right, Bama's going to win it all, but is this just another year where Bama's going to win it all?
Yeah, I don't see why. Like until we see anything else otherwise, this is clearly still Alabama's team or country, right? Like it's literally their country. It's their sport. I have to look at this. Oh, here we go. I found it. This is a tweet from Field Yates, so I want to credit him on this. He posted this after their win the other night. He said, "So Alabama lost the Heisman Trophy winner, another first-round wide receiver, first-round QB, and running back, three drafted offensive linemen from the best offensive line in football, a first-round cornerback, the MVP of the national championship, the top assistant coach in college football, and then they still do this week." Like,
Yeah, like it's just forever dominant, man. Forever dominant. I
and
guess.
going back to the Texans, somehow Bill O'Brien gets a job promotion after his pitiful performance and makes the staff of this team.
My goodness, just insane, insane to see what this Bama team is able to do. Anything else that you want to touch on college football? I will say, outside of the Notre Dame just like absolute collapse, the one thing I took away from that game, I don't even know his name, which is going to make me feel bad, but that tight end on Notre Dame is so legit, man. I could not wait to see him make NFL level because the guy looks like a beast. The guy looks very similar. I bet he'll receive the same exact hype cycle that Kyle Pitts did.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, the one thing I will say, Kai, you're in here one show early as an AP man. He said Wisconsin needs a QB, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Yep, for sure. All right, anything else about college football? If not, we're going to move into our next segment, Jared.
No, we're all good here.
We're all good. Let's move on into our next segment, which is Flag on the Play. You heard the whistle. This is going to be a segment where we discuss some questionable things that happened on the last DFS slate, whether it be NFL on Mondays or whether it be MLB, which is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some questionable things that happened and some things that kind of made us scratch our head and wonder why. Why did that happen? I feel like the one thing for me, and this is going to make you feel probably pretty bad, Jared, but what in the world did Brandon Woodruff do yesterday? I need you to explain Woodruff, and I need you to explain your Brewers.
Yikes, dude. I don't even know what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
I saw that happening, and we can talk about DFS. DFS aside, I know that you guys were off of him completely yesterday. At least Sean was. But man, that was horrific. I don't even know. Like, they just gave up after a certain point, right? And Craig Counsell kind of just let him die out there. Zach Wheeler looked good, though. That's all I have to say about that.
Zach Wheeler looked great. And the worst part is like on the podcast yesterday, I was like, no, Woodruff is definitely the better option. This Brewers team is finally getting better on offense. I don't want to target against them. No, not getting better on offense. I take back any Brewers takes that I've had recently. Anything for you stand out about yesterday's slate for MLB for Labor Day?
Yeah, Fatty McGee gifting Tier 1 sub to LC Moore. Love to see that. Woodruff, awful play. Go play in traffic, says Desert Zombie. Yeah,
Couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more.
Go ahead. Let it all out, because that's, that was awful yesterday. The main takeaway for me was that we ended up, I know that I don't want to go into too much DFS, so I'll make this short. But the fact that we won a slate with we pitched a guy and then we used a batter against him, and that was the batter that won the slate is pretty insane to me.
Absolutely insane, right? You guys get a little look behind the curtain right now, because Sean and I were talking about the slate. We were going over things before posting everything, and he was like, man, should I play Schwindel or should I play Mountcastle? And I totally said play Ryan Mountcastle. And then he was like, I don't know. And I was like, just go with your gut, man. And he went with his gut. He took Schwindel, and Schwindel was the guy. So it was awesome to see that Schwindel ended up getting Cash Game members the dub yesterday. I think that's all I have for Flag on the Play. I know we're going to talk about this a lot more once we get into more DFS, especially when NFL DFS comes along. I'm sure we're going to be touching on this quite a bit, but fun little section to talk about the DFS day from the day past. All right, Jared, you know what time it is. It's underdog mentality time. We get to talk about our favorite bets on the slate, our favorite underdogs on the slate. And this is a great time to tell you that this show, the morning after show, is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is more than just an online betting platform. Their focus on the player approach has built their reputation on offering clients nothing but the best. From a cutting-edge technology, enticing promotions, and the latest sports betting odds, arguably their most popular and well-known service, which you guys have right in front of you right now, is the Sportsbooks. Here you will find live lines on all major sporting events, including NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, soccer, politics, and even table tennis. You can get everything from BetOnline. The live betting, which is one of my personal favorites, features and allows you to bet on your favorite sports quickly and easily and in real time. BetOnline is the absolute best platform for all your sports betting needs, horse betting, poker, and casino gambling. And we are so excited for them to be RotoRadar's exclusive partner for the 2021 NFL season. Jared, anything you want to say about BetOnline, man?
Oh man, long time partnership, long time making this thing come together. We love them so much, and the fact that they're able to be in literally every aspect of every stream of every piece of content we're putting out this season for the NFL year is going to be such a game changer for everybody involved in the community. We love everything about this. We're so excited to have you guys in here. And look who else is in here. Can of Corn showing up on the stream. Says Phillies looked pretty solid yesterday. Oh man, the ultimate show.
Yeah, the ultimate troll. Nice to see the single game guru, as Little Italy said in here. I know he remembers a shit ton of money this weekend. I don't want to get into too much
He
of the
did.
DFS, but let's talk about some bet online odds, Jared. On this MLB slate, it's a big one. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about once we get to the MLB podcast today. But do you have any favorites here?
I love that the first underdog on the card is John Gant, but that's not my pick.
No,
That's not my.
I hope so.
That's not my pick.
I'd hope it's not your pick.
Let's see. The first thing that comes to mind here, obviously, we do have a game at Coors, which we'll talk about and save for the 30 to lock stream. Give me, honestly, Josh, I think that my underdog play of the day is the Chicago White Sox with a plus 119 right now.
Yeah, plus 119. It's good to see them there. I definitely don't mind it. I'm going to go back to a take that won both of us a lot of money this past Thursday. Give me the Marlins as the underdog over the Mets.
Yep.
We saw Carlos
Yep.
Carrasco got teed off against when he played against this Marlins team. Really struggled through 6 innings. And now it's the fact that they get to see him on his next start so soon after the last start. It could mean bad news for Carlos Carrasco. Plus, Edward Cabrera, absolutely love the talent that this guy has. I think he's going to be something special at the MLB level. If MLB The Show has anything to say about it, he has to be something special at the MLB level. And yeah, I think that Marlins team can really pull off a win at home. All right, Jared, we have 8 minutes left until we get off of the stream. I want to give the chat an opportunity to ask any questions, maybe give us some suggestions on what you want to see us do tomorrow or later on in the week. But that is the morning after stream. That's what you guys can expect every day of the week, this time in the morning. Start off your mornings with us. It's the best place to start off your mornings because we're going to talk about sports.
Yes, sir. We're going to be here every single day, Monday through Friday, same time, same place. So you guys have something to listen to in the morning, whether it be on your way to work, whether it be at your computer if you're working from home. That we are so excited to be able to do this for you guys early every single day, because I know it's kind of what we've been missing, right? We've been trying to figure out a way to make content for you guys early in the day, and I think this is probably one of the better options that we had, and I love that we were able to do this for you guys. We have a lot of questions coming in, Josh, so I'm just going to start getting right to them here.
Let's do it.
C-Core says, what do you guys think about Saquon? Is it worth trading for him at discount in fantasy? So I'll take a stab at this one. I am a Saquon fan. I am not a fan of their offense, and I am not a fan of their OC. So in short, I would have to see what the trade would be, but it would have to be something pretty massive in order for me to do that and take him.
Yeah, man, I think that it's tough to trade for him. Maybe we're on differing sides here, but like, I think it's tough to trade for Saquon when you don't know what week he's finally going to be healthy, right? We're still questionable on if he's going to be good for week 1. And, how far does that range? Does that range into week 2 or week 3? When it comes to a fantasy perspective, you need those wins in week 1, week 2, week 3, set a good tone. And so I don't know if I'd be willing to trade for Saquon unless you're getting him at a good deal.
Yep, I agree. Next question comes from GirlDad88. Asks Williams, running back from Baltimore, worth grabbing for just in case for fantasy. This was great. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so he's talking about Tyson Williams, who we played a lot in the preseason. Unfortunately, we talked about that segment of, they're trying out guys here and there. I would stay away from Tyson Williams unless you absolutely need running back depth somewhere, because I think this thing is going to be extremely muddy, and obviously don't forget that Lamar is going to be probably the leading rusher on the team.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you have Gus Edwards, it's the right move to get his handcuff, right? Especially with how many guys are getting injured in that backfield. It definitely does make sense to pick him up just in case. Let's see. Any other questions? How about one lock of the day for DFS? I certainly don't mind it. What do you think about Little Italy's suggestion for the show?
Yeah, I mean, as long as everybody is aware that could change at any point in time.
Especially come NBA season, man. You guys got to remember, we're doing we're doing this for a long time. So if we get into NBA season, it's gonna get really tough once you get all those injuries.
That could be really fun, though.
Yeah, it could be very
Imagine.
fun. Just us
Yeah.
touting a player and then watching him get cut or not cut, watching him get not play the night of. Desert Zombie says Giants offense is awful. I don't know if you saw Kenny Galladay's comments, Jared, but he said this offense was going to be good. It was just going to take a little bit of time for them to, meld together. What do you think? Do you think we do see this offense actually be good? Do you think we finally see Daniel Jones be deserving of that first round pick?
I think so. The way that I interpret this is wave the white flag. It's over. Like if your dude that you made a trade for and paid all this money for is now going to go ahead and say that they're not ready and it's going to take some time. Oh man, they're already the worst division in the league. It's going to be awful.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's that offense is going to be rough, man. I mean, just when you make bad draft picks like Daniel Jones and like their left tackle that they have that they completely reached on in last year's draft, it's going to be rough for that team. So I don't think that offense is going to be good. Sheridan PT asked, "Where does Hurts fall on your QB list?" Jared, what do you think about Hurts?
I want to know if he said lust or list.
Yeah,
He said,
that's a good question. I think he meant list, but I pulled a little anchorman right there and said lust.
that's all good. I was looking at that as well. So for me, I'm extremely high on Jalen Hurts, and I'm sure you guys will hear me talk all about him for a long time, like probably the majority of the season. So I mean, right now, I mean, you guys saw, for those of you who are in Discord, and if you're not already there, what are you doing with your life? I drafted Jalen Hurts pretty much in every league that was available for Roto Radar. So I know that you did the other day, so
Yeah.
we're both on the same page there.
Yeah, I wasn't high on Jalen Hurts until I saw something that was like, when you're looking for a QB in fantasy, you're looking for a guy with that rushing upside. Who was it last year that you could take in the 8th round? It was Josh Allen, who ended up being QB1 and ended up having an absolutely amazing season. Now, I'm not sure if Hurts is going to take that big of a step forward, but all it takes is for him to improve a little bit in the passing game, right? And he certainly can with guys like Devontae Smith now as a wide receiver. He's getting back Zach Ertz too. That should help him big time. And getting Goddard, like this team should be a lot better on the offensive side. So I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I like him as one of my top guys at the list when it comes to ADP and where you're drafting him. Any other questions, you guys? Fatty McGee making fun of my Anchorman joke. Do you have anything that you want to comment on, Jared?
No, just the fact that we are going to be doing roughly the same thing in regards to this type of streaming for the NFL streams this afternoon. Today is a little bit different because we did have Labor Day yesterday, and this kind of accelerates everything else for the rest of week one. But we'll normally be live Monday through Friday, Tuesday through Thursday. We're going to be going live 1 o'clock to 2:30 Eastern. So we'll be back. We'll see you guys in about 2 hours. And that's all I have to say about that. Make sure you don't miss that one.
Yes, for sure. Guys, thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming and supporting the morning after show brought to you by betonline.ag. I'm excited for this show, man. I'm so pumped. This is something that I've always wanted to do, to be on camera for Roto Radar Nation, and it's just to finally have the opportunity to do it and have the opportunity to do it every day of the week is going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to be on camera again today, just like Jared said. We have that NFL stream coming up very soon. Make sure to keep an eye out for that. And as always, my name is Joshua Reimer. Good morning and good skill.